of my mother's gods. I cannot hear them anymore. Not even a whisper.
They are lost. You will not see them or hear them ever again.
You lie, child. Or whatever you truly are behind that innocent face.
No, Jane Cassinder. I speak the truth. What remained of your mother's gods has been destroyed, and the power of creation has fled this grove.
That power was dangerous. Better that it's gone.
No. It was precious. My mother searched for thousands of years, and this was the only remnant of her gods that she ever found.
The power in this forest might have been used to restore the old gods and all their servants to life. Not the twisted half-life that you gave them, Jane Cassinder. A true rebirth, as they were at the dawn of the world. But you called upon that power to destroy, not to create. You twisted the power of creation to your own ends, until all that was left was an empty shell.
The forest was already corrupted, even before Jane tried to call the Archons back to life.
The first time Jane called on the power of the old gods, it was to murder Hugh Montbaron 30 years ago. She knew she was misusing that power, but she was too full of anger, and she didn't care. After that, the Mournweald grew rotten and sick. All its potential for good was lost.
Why did this power respond to Jane and no one else?
Jane's mother was first sister. When she died, her fire passed to Jane. The first sister stood at the right hand of her gods. Only pale shadows of their minds persisted in this grove. But they remembered her. That is why Jane saw her gods in visions and dreams, just as her mother did before her. And that is why Jane could unlock the power that was been.
And the Archons I fought in the forest, the ones that Jane restored to life?
Dead, wilted like blossoms, and scattered to the wind. When you slew the reborn god, all Jane's creations were undone. In time, the forest will...
We have a decision to make. What to do with Jane.
Wait. I have a question. And I may never be able to ask it again. I was born in this grove 30 years ago. Was I not?
Yes. I found you here, on the day the Legion died. And I carried you to the forest's edge.
So the Creator Gods, whatever remained of them, they called me back to life.
That may be. Yes.
All the Archons that were called back to life were corrupt. Their fires were dark and cold, not like Anjali at all.
Unless Anjali was born before the sickness truly took root. Just after the Legion died, and the Mournweald began to rot from within. Perhaps the Creator Gods knew that they were doomed, and they wanted Anjali to destroy them, to undo Jane's mistake.
If that is true, then at least I've honored them. Thank you. Your words give me comfort.
And Jane? What of her?
As long as she lives, Jane is a threat. A sword hanging over our necks. The Legion will never be safe. Not until she is dead.
I expect no mercy from the Legion. Do as you like.
No, you won't die today. I promised Rosalind that I'd spare your life.
Little Queen Mouse. I owe my life to that cringing girl. That is a fine irony. Am I to be your prisoner, then? Paraded through the streets in a gilded cage?
Your life belongs to the Queen. We'll turn you over to the royal court, and Rosalind can decide your fate.
Rosalind is soft. She will lock me in a tower, perhaps, but I will hardly suffer at her hands. You are not the Legion I remember. They would have demanded blood for blood. No mercy in matters of law. I accept your judgment of me. Let the war between us end.
You are bound by your words, Jane Cassinder. The Legion has won, and you will trouble them no more.
It's over then.
For now, you deserve a rest. But it may be short-lived.
Not all of Jane's followers will accept her defeat.
No, they will not. The country is still divided against itself. And the Legion has old enemies. They have not forgotten you. Some may be far worse than Jane. But you've shown yourself to be fair, as well as strong. Whatever happens, the people of Ebb will stand behind you.
You and I started this together. Whatever comes next, I will follow where you lead.
We part ways then. I will be watching. And one day, I will see you again.
You bid farewell to the Radiant Youth, and he sent you back to our chapter house in Stonebridge, where I awaited your return. In the weeks that followed, news spread of Jane Cassinder's defeat. Her army scattered, giving us time to rest and regroup. Martin Guiscard returned safely from the Spire, along with Meister Wolf and the Automaton army. Only a few weeks later, elections were held in Stonebridge. Meister Wolf, who had been so public in his support of the Legion, swept to victory and was declared mayor of the city. He credited you for his success. The people of Stonebridge deeply respected your decision to hand over the dapper old gent to the city authorities. The Guild of Ironmongers became more profitable than ever, thanks to the harsh terms of servitude imposed upon the Cyclops workers in the foundry. By all accounts, Meister Kessel became the richest man in the city, but he did not forget his debt to us. His guild donated fine suits of armor, blades, and guns to the Legion, enough to equip an army when we finally replenish our ranks. After many months of confinement, the dapper old gent was sent to the gallows and hanged. His body was supposed to be returned to the Legion, but it vanished on the following night. To this day, no one has been able to find the gent's remains. It seems he is destined to remain a mystery in death, just as he was in life. With the reopening of the Heroes' Crypt, pilgrims returned to the Rukenval, and merchants followed. The following winter was harsh, just as Lazar Basili feared. But thanks to the trade from the south, the people of Ravensrill stayed warm and fed. When spring came, many more pilgrims arrived, and the town of Ravensrill grew wealthy again. Lazar and his people built a new stone wall around the town, and reclaimed their abandoned houses and farmsteads from the forest. It is a happy change of fortune for a long-suffering town. Queen Rosalind abandoned Glitterdelve, embarking on a tour of all the cities and towns of the West, meeting as many of her subjects as she could. The Queen showed all the energy of youth, and I think she fully expects to reunite the country in a matter of months, not years. Reality may not be so kind, as Lord Devonsey has tried to make her understand. In truth, the future of this country depends more upon what we decide. If she doesn't have the Legion behind her, the Queen is only a single voice, well-meaning though she might be. As for Devonsey himself, I think the man was impressed by your decision to spare Jane Cassinder, as the Queen had asked. When he last visited Stonebridge, he spent a great deal of time in our chapter house. I believe he might actually be willing to rejoin our ranks, if we choose to accept him. Jane Cassinder was delivered into the hands of the royal court. Just as Jane herself had predicted, Rosalind treated her with compassion and respect. Perhaps the girl queen saw only Jane's royal blood, and she was desperate for some connection to the family she had lost. Jane was treated almost as a member of the court, a prisoner in name only. Many whispered openly that this was no justice at all. It was no surprise that it ended as it did. One morning, Jane Cassinder was found strangled in her bed, a noose around her throat. The noose, many said, that should have hanged her. Surrounded by men and women of the royal court who had suffered terribly at Jane's hands, it was impossible to find her killer. But that was not the greatest mystery of all. For Jane Cassinder had not been bound or restrained in any way. She should have been able to defend herself from her murderers, but she did not. As for the Legion, the rest of our story is yet to be told. We have a nation to reforge, a fellowship to rebuild, and old enemies who would see us destroyed. And we have questions to decide. Who will assume true power in Ebb if the nation is restored? And who will take the mantle of Grand Master? But these matters I leave for another chronicle and another time. Whatever happens, know that you will not face the future alone. The Legion will stand by you,